A border sovereign is the occult force, a threshold guardian of the earth scenes beyond. She has canalized the outbreaks of the gods and cut through vistas of intuitive sight, a long,
Vistas of
intuitive
and vistas.
vistas, okay, and cut through vistas of intuitive sight, a long road of shimmering discoveries.
So we are continuing with Book 1, Canto 5, the Yoga of the Spirit's Freedom and Greatness, which is the story of Sri Aurobindo's progress towards his avatarhood. So this occult force is a sovereign border. It's an occult force because it's a hidden force for most of us who have not reached the intuitive planes of existence. And it's a threshold guardian of the beyond of the earth scene. And in that threshold guardian, she has canalized, in other words, she has diverted into certain channels. She has given a certain direction in order to regulate something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the outbreaks of the gods. So she has given this channel for the outbreaks of the gods, and she has cut through these vistas of intuitive sight. That intuitive sight is something obtained through intuition rather than from reasoning or observation. And it usually concerns spiritual vision or perception. And what has she done? She's made this long road of shimmering discoveries, shimmering with the flickering light, faintly gleaming. So we have all of that, okay?
Yep, understood.
Good.
The worlds of a marvelous unknown veneer. Behind her, an ineffable presence stood. Her reign received their mystic influences. Their lion forces crouched beneath her feet. The future sleeps unknown behind their doors.
So he tells us here that the worlds of a marvelous unknown are near. And in the Upanishads, he says the unknown is that which is beyond the known, and though unknown is not unknowable. If we can enlarge our faculties or attain to others that we do not yet possess. So beautiful. So behind her, creatrix of the worlds, an ineffable presence stood. Ineffable is indescribable, incapable of being expressed. Behind her, an ineffable presence stood. And what does it do? Well, it speaks of her reign that has received the mystic influences, the influences of the presence that's behind her. So behind the creatrix, behind that creative force, this presence, capital P, and Sri Aurobindo says, it is intended by the word presence to indicate the sense and perception of the divine as a being, felt as present in one's existence and consciousness, or in relation with it, without the necessity of any further qualification or description. very powerful definition of the presence. So we see that Mother always had lions around her. Champakla was one of her lions.
Oh, Champaklal. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I've read that. Yeah.
yes. Their lion forces crouched beneath her feet. Now, when they crouch, you know, if you crouch down, you lower yourself
Mm.
beneath her feet,
Mm-hmm.
and the future sleeps unknown behind their doors. So the future is still unknown to us, and we have to find out what it is. So now please continue with the abysms.
Sure, Narad sir. Narad sir, this lion forces, I mean, this entire paragraph almost brings that Durga Devi's avatar in front of me. I mean, the goddess that sits on the lion when she comes.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Abysms infernal gaped round the.
I would say I would not uh, accent the B too much. Abysms, abysms,
Abysms.
not abysms, but abysms.
Abysms infernal gaped round the soul's step and called to its mounting vision peaks divine. An endless climb and adventure of the idea. There tirelessly tempted the explorer mind, and countless voices visited the charmed ear. A million figures passed and was seen no more. Mhm.
Diabolical, fiendish. Infernal is fiendish or diabolical. And when something is gaped, it's wide open. Infernal abysms gaped round the soul steps. So it's very, very interesting here because, and called to its mounting vision, peaks divine. So even though they're gaping round the soul steps, because we can also always fall into darkness, we can always fall into those abysms, and they are fiendish and diabolical, they are infernal, and they're gaping around the soul steps. So we have to be careful as we climb. And they call to its mounting vision, that's the vision of the soul, they call to it these divine peaks, an endless climb and adventure of the idea. And we've spoke so often about the idea.
Mhm.
I've read you many things about the idea,
Mhm.
which is the supermind or the Gnostic. There tirelessly tempted the explorer mind. And so now we're seeing that these endless abysms are there, gaping around the steps of the soul, but uh, also calling to its vision that is mounting, in other words, moving upwards, divine peaks. And then he has a colon because he wants us to know that this is an endless climb and adventure of the idea of the supermind. There tirelessly tempted the explorer mind, and countless voices visited the charmed ear. A million figures passed and were seen no more. So Ashwapati is experiencing all of these things, And we'll continue to see what he is experiencing.
So, Narad sir, just one question here. Um, a million figures passed and were seen no more. Does that mean there are others who are also climbing up those steps?
Yes, it could because but I don't think it's that exactly because we see that this explorer mind of Ashwapati
Hmm.
is being tirelessly tempted. And we know it's tempted because we see this, that it's an endless climb and an adventure of the idea. And also that there are infernal abysms that are gaping around the steps of the soul as it's trying to climb. So
Hmm.
one has to climb very carefully. And and these countless voices are visiting his charmed ear. So they are visiting Ashwapati's charmed ear. And these million figures, they could be occult because we found that it was already an occult plane that he's seeing. They passed, and just like shadows, and were seen no more.
Okay.
And now he's going to tell us what this was.
This was a forefront of God's thousandfold house, beginnings of the half screened invisible.
Well, that's very important. The invisible is the deity,
Mhm.
it is the divine, or it's the unseen spiritual world. So it is the forefront, that is the very beginning, the face of God's thousandfold house. And it's also the beginnings of this half screened spiritual world, or the divine, the deity. And now we move to page 88.
Yeah.
And we're going to see what so we just saw the forefront, and now we're going to see the porch.
Mhm.
See how beautifully Sri Aurobindo, and then he has a court and a balcony.
Yeah.
All of this we're going to learn. Okay, carry on.
A magic porch of entry glimmering, quivered in a penumbra of screened light, a court of the mystical traffic of the worlds, a balcony and miraculous facade.
Wow. So now you see the picture is becoming clearer and clearer to us. We saw the forefront of God's house. Now we see this magic porch, which is the entry, and it's glimmering. It's not only glimmering, but it's quivering. That means it's trembling,
Trembling.
trembling in a penumbra, a partial shadow, like an eclipse of
Mhm.
screened light. And what is it? It's a court of the mystical traffic of the worlds, of all the worlds. So we had the porch, the forefront, the court, and now a balcony. A balcony and miraculous facade. Now, facade is sort of a deceptive front. Huh?
Okay.
It's also the face of a building, so we could take it as that also.
Okay.
So now we're going to see what else is here above her.
Above her lightened high immensities, all the unknown looked out from boundlessness. It lodged upon an edge of hourless time, gazing out of some everlasting now, its shadows gleaming with the birth of gods, its bodies signaling the bodiless, its foreheads glowing with the oversoul, its forms projected from the unknowable, its eyes dreaming of the ineffable, its faces staring into eternity.
So let's go backwards. We have faces, we have eyes, we have forms, we have foreheads, and we have bodies, and we have shadows. See how much we can learn if we just go slowly. And I don't know if anyone else shares these things, but I want to share them with you because they're so beautiful.
Yes.
And they put the whole picture together for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we see this house with its porch and its court and its balcony. And we also see that when we go back even further, we see that it's a forefront of God's house. And it's this only the beginning of this invisible that's half screened. And so we see this creatrix of all the worlds, and we're beginning to learn more about her because now we see that above her creation, creativity, lightened high immensities, these huge immensities, all the unknown looked out from boundlessness. It lodged, now we see that you have a house and something is lodging in it.
Mm-hmm.
It lodged upon an endless, an edge of hourless time. Mm-hmm. So what else is it doing? It's gazing out of some everlasting now. And therefore its shadows were gleaming with the birth of gods. Its bodies signaling the bodiless. So the body is, and I have to read a little because we haven't covered body. So Sri Aurobindo says that body is the outward sign and lowest basis of the apparent division, which nature, plunging into ignorance and self-nescience, makes the starting point for the recovery of unity by the individual soul. Unity even in the midst of the most exaggerated forms of her multiple consciousness. And certainly we see the exaggerated forms here on earth. No question about that.
Mm-hmm.
So its bodies are signaling the bodiless. And so bodiless, of course, is not having a body, but its foreheads are glowing with the oversoul. Look how high this is. Its forms are projected from the unknowable. And then its eyes are dreaming of the ineffable. And its faces are staring into eternity. Well, I think we have to go and have you read everything now because it's almost 5.
Yeah.
I have a little time, so we're okay. And you can go from the beginning.
Sure. So Narad sir, just one thing here. So there's this sentence about the birth of gods, right? Here, it shadows gleaming with the birth of God. So is this the description in the lines below about the birth of gods? Or is this just the description of everything inside the house? On the spirits that
I can see it as its shadows gleaming with the birth of gods. The shadows are gleaming with that. And so its bodies and its shadows, its foreheads. So all of this, yes, birth of gods are included here.
Okay.
But it's even higher because its foreheads are glowing with the oversoul. Foreheads, plural, of these, shall we say, these transcendent beings that are not projected yet, but now its forms are projected from the unknowable. He says it right there. Its forms projected from the unknowable, its eyes dreaming of the ineffable, and its faces staring into eternity.
Sure.
So,
Thank you, Narad. Yeah, I'll start from page 87.
okay.
A border sovereign is the occult force, a threshold guardian of the earth's scenes beyond. She has canalized the outbreaks of the gods and cut through vistas of intuitive sight, a long road of shimmering discoveries.
Yeah, I would say not vistas, but vistas.
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 Vistas, okay.
Vistas, plural, vistas.
Vistas.
Yeah.
And cut through vistas of intuitive sight, a long road of shimmering discoveries. The worlds of a marvelous
No discovery, see, you can drop your voice. A long road of shimmering discoveries. Because there's a full stop at discoveries.
Got you. A long road of shimmering discoveries. The
Yes.
worlds of a marvelous unknown were near. Behind her, an ineffable presence stood. Her
Not able, ineffable.
Ineffable, okay. Behind her, an ineffable presence stood. Her reign received their mystic influences. Their lion forces crouched beneath her feet. The future sleeps unknown behind their doors. Abyssal infernal gaped round the soul's steps and called to its mounting vision peaks divine. An endless
I would
climb.
say abysms. Abysm, not abysms, but abysms.
Abysms infernal gaped round the soul's steps and called to its mounting vision peaks divine. An endless climb, an adventure of the idea, there tirelessly tempted the explorer mind, and countless voices visited the charmed ear. A million figures passed and were seen no more. This was a forefront of God's thousandfold house, beginnings of the half-screened invisible. A magic porch of intrigue glimmering quivered in a penumbra of screened light, a court of the mystical traffic of the worlds, a balcony and miraculous facade. Miraculous, okay. A balcony and a miraculous facade. Above her lightened high immensities. All the unknown looked out from boundlessness. It lodged upon an edge of hourless time, gazing out of some everlasting now, its shadows gleaming with the birth of gods, its bodies signaling the bodiless, its foreheads glowing with the oversoul, its forms projected from the unknowable, its eyes dreaming of the ineffable, its faces staring into eternity. Thank you, Narad.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay.
Namaste.
See you next week. Namaste.
Sure. Namaste.